Good morning, everybody. Welcome to IT Live on this beautiful Monday. I'm joined by Eric and Coach,
Good
and it's
morning.
bye week. So, we're going to do a little bit more of a retrospective look back at the team and then what we actually think that means going forward. Guys, you need to go to InsideTexas.com. You can join for just $1 team news, analysis, recruiting, all that jazz, and a super funny board. If I didn't say it already, this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Our man Brett, not playing around, going to open up the show with some heat right here. Thank you for the super chat, Brett. Sark can't be 0-5 versus Ohio State and Georgia if you are elite. Gentlemen, discuss.
Well, I just got off Grok, and Grok tells me that Kirby Smart is 1-7 against Alabama.
Ooh.
It's pretty elite. But this Texas team isn't elite, so that's not even a consideration, right? We haven't seen an elite Texas team at all this year. So maybe that one for next year. Or if they win in 2 weeks, I'm going to say you don't have to beat Georgia to be elite.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right.
But that's a good point. It's like there might be like some fans that are like they're elite, but I'm like I don't think that's the argument right now.
No, that's not the argument. But also, you have teams that are bad matchups where you catch them at the wrong time. Obviously, Ohio State was better than Texas last year, and Ohio State is better than Texas this year. So,
Yeah.
that's you should beat the teams that you're better than, right?
Yeah, but it's nice to beat the ones that you aren't too. I enjoy that.
Yeah, look at this nice way to set the vibe after a nice win. Says
a movable object, unstoppable force. SEC's desire to have a one-loss Georgia for the playoffs versus SEC officials wanting to pay Kirby back for his BS this season. Georgia gets some calls too, right? That's the whole thing. I'm not enough in their fandom, but like everyone always, the memes are always that like Georgia gets the call, right? But I don't know.
Well, I mean, I just watched Florida get hosed, and they, so Florida was poised to beat them. That J. Michael Sturdivant from Frisco Flower Mound, he caught that ball and so.
Eric, can we move your mic closer?
Yeah. I feel like Kirby works the refs better than most coaches, man. I don't know what it is. He gets calls like crazy. He argues until they just flip his way. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, he did lose one. We just had to throw some water bottles out on the field, but he normally seems to get his way for sure.
Yep. All right, Coach. You also had a little bit of a viber this morning. Your article title, something along the lines of "I'm not buying yet, but I am window shopping." You should check it out. What do you mean by that, Coach?
Yeah, man. I'm in a department store. I'm shopping. Like this team has me interested in like, okay, maybe they can be a complete team, offense, defense, special teams, but I'm just not ready to go to the checkout line and purchase it yet, man. I can't buy it just yet. I don't know what I'm gonna get week to week. We look good offensively, came out on fire, and then kind of tilted. We're like, hey, what happened to the dominant defense? And I know we had a lot of guys out there, that maybe shouldn't be playing. A lot of young guys rotating in, people getting hurt, but it just seemed like for the first time, nobody was communicating in the secondary. Even if you had young guys, like you expect the level of communication to still be there and play. I'm not talking about like from athlete for athlete. I feel like we're good. We just wasn't communicating. And it kind of looked like the 2022 defensive team in the secondary, where it's like, it was your guy. You had this zone. It's like, no. Be on the same page. And it seemed like from the front to back end,
2022 almost never busted as an individual group. What their problem was, they never worked within groups. Like the linebackers would never trade off to the safeties. You would never see, because Anthony Cook never busted a play all year. Who else was back there with Cook? Taft played some. Taft was starting coming.
Jaron Thompson.
Yeah, Jaron Thompson.
Maybe Brooks. Maybe I know sometimes.
Brooks had that one bust, that notable bust against TCU, playing in place of Jamison. But the safeties back there never busted. They barely got beat deep. That was when Patterson came in. That was where they got worked on third downs mercilessly all season. Usually the linebackers and safeties or DBs were not on the same page. But there's obviously some discoordination back there. There's a lot of speculation of whether or not the losses of Gideon and Joseph, I think, sting quite a bit.
Yeah,
the loss of Taft and McDonald sting quite a bit. But, Derek Williams has been in the program a long time. Jalen Gilbo's been in the program a long time. Xavier Filsame's, I don't know if he should be playing over Jordan Johnson-Rebel. Jordan Johnson-Rebel is more physical, and he's a more natural. He understands the field better, understands the plays better. He should probably be playing instead of Xavier Filsaime. But he doesn't look as pretty as Filsaime, and Dwayne Aquino likes the guys that run fast and look good. They've definitely got some problems, but I'm kind of with Charlie on this. I need to see it, but I might go a little step further than Charlie. He's window shopping. I might put him on layaway.
I was going to say, you're going to use credit.
just because you're getting Taft back, obviously they've got to keep the same offensive philosophy going. Otherwise, this is just a waste of time. We might as well suspend the lives for the next few months. But if they keep utilizing that same offensive approach, and you get Taft and McDonald back, all of a sudden you feel a little bit better. I mean, Georgia's not going to trick Texas on defense if you get McDonald and Taft back.
Yeah, that was what was disappointing. Like Charlie said, I don't expect them to be at Taft's skill level or Jelani's athleticism and skill, but you need to show core competency, aka I know what I'm running, and that didn't get done at all. And so that was frustrating. What do you think, Coach, even with the offense, right? It was a lot of quick games, spread it out. We have better athletes than you. We don't necessarily have better athletes than Georgia or A&M. It can be a wash, maybe some advantages here and there. Does this offensive style even scale once you get up to equal talent?
I think if we can get the ball out to our athletes in space quicker like we did, they got a chance to kind of break the one-on-one tackles. Like, I thought we had so many yards after catch versus Vanderbilt. Like, paid off tremendously. DeAndre Moore over the middle, Livingstone, like Wingo, like everything we caught, they didn't get to like design 5 yards. They were busting it for extra yards, picking up first down, staying ahead of the change. Even Trey Wiseman did a few times, busting a few runs, making people miss. So I feel like if they can kind of continue that, that's what I think last year's team was so good at. Like the receivers after catch were like really, really good. We can kind of continue that success, man. I think it bodes well for us, but does that happen versus Georgia in space? Because they seem to tackle well in space sometimes, right? They got better athletes than Vandy. So I hope it does continue, but we'll see.
Watching the replay, I was actually having that same thought. Parker Livingston breaks a tackle, picks up 6 more yards. You're thinking, he probably doesn't break that against Georgia. I do think a lot of the throws where they move the sticks are going to scale up. I'm not too worried about that. You'll see a drop in the yak. Texas had a ton of yak, whether it's yards after contact or yards after catch against Vanderbilt. No, it won't be nearly as – you won't see Ryan Wingo go 75 yards on that play. That's not going to happen. They're also just better coached on defense. Part of the issues that Vanderbilt had was poor leverage. But you can still create space, and when you create space, it's much harder to tackle. We saw that on the Texas side as well, where Texas defenders missed some tackles. They're just playing competent offense. They're going to be able to. They might not have five drives where they go 60+ yards, but they're going to have 3 or 4. That's a lot more than they were getting earlier in the season.
Yeah, even a regression is still ultimately going to be a positive compared to the previous games. Total passing yards allowed over 3 games, 382 plus 258 plus 365 is 1,005 yards. What is the answer to solve this issue? You know what's funny? What was the year that we had the elite run stopping, and so we just incentivized teams to have to pass on us, and they did it incredibly. So it's like I'm worried we're in that same situation because we're a great run defense, that we're putting guys behind the sticks, and the answer they have to go to is our weakness. So I think it feels a little bit like that season to me, where we were forcing people to target our weakness. Now, what does that mean? You tell a defensive tackle, like, give them 1 extra yard before you hit them. There's not like a practical solve there, but it does feel like that to me. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I don't think the coordination is as good as it has been in the past. You got to get Tapp and McDonald back and do your best, and then D up in the red zone, force some turnovers, and they're not as bad as it looked last week. Obviously, missing McDonald and Taft is not good. That's the biggest. Well, that's not the biggest problem. That's the only solve that we're going to see over the course of the next few weeks. I mean, I think everybody knows that they probably need a shakeup in the secondary next year.
Yeah, I think the answer is getting Taft back. It does matter, like undoubtedly, but we had Taft in with Florida, we had Taft in with Kentucky that got yards. So it's like it's easy to just go to that. I just don't think it's great. And then if you take Taft out and then Jelani, then it's really bad. But I think even with kind of the starters in tandem, I still don't think it's anywhere close to last year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think even with those guys back, they may line up, right? Taft to get everybody in the right spot, but there's still holes in the secondary. And I think people see it on film. But you got to, if you can't block Texas front 4 pass rush, and then it really doesn't matter. But if you can block it, there's some holes there. It doesn't matter if Taft is back or not.
Well, Eric's hinting at it, right? It could be some like coordination play call thing.
Yeah.
So it's like even if you have the top athletes and the call's not right or they're not being taught to defend zone well, it doesn't matter really who's out there. You're getting attacked with those zones where there's 7 guys around them, but they're all 15 yards away. Like that, that's that you're getting beat schematically at that point. You're not getting beat because of the players are executing.
We're asking Taft to be a tourniquet rather than just bleeding out on the field. It's not doesn't mean you're fixed. It's just that's the best you can do on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get some questions, man. We got David Keith Williams asking. We got all kinds of stuff here. People are talking.
What do we got? The best thing for Filsamy? Read out the comments, Eric, and I'll be able to pull it.
At 9:39, David Keith Williams he tags me and Charlie about similarities between Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden was a more well-rounded receiver, I think, but not quite as explosive as Lott. And it's not just about their 40 times. In the question above, I think below, there's times at 10-7 and 100. Man, Lott is extremely explosive going vertically. You won't find many receivers that can climb the ladder like he can. So I think they're different in that regard. Matthew Golden, I'm not sure that Lott's hands are as good as Matthew Golden's either.
Yeah.
But I mean, body type and weight, the fact that they can play outside at being 6 foot tall and they have the speed to burn, I think that's a similarity as well.
Another coach bites the dust. That's referring to Hugh Freeze at Auburn. What a weird year. A lot of huge openings.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think is next? Florida State, Hurricanes, or Clemson?
Oh, man, I don't think that Dabo firing a guy that's won 2 national titles, that's tough. But you sit him down and you try to talk him into changing, and you hope that he won't. Like, all right, well, if you're not going to change, you just fired yourself. Okay, all right, good. You're not going to use the portal. Whatever his limit is on, I'll take 15. No, we want you to take 20. Okay, I'll take 20. No, we want you to take 25 guys on the portal. Keep going until he just quits. Mario Cristobal, I mean, golly, man, that's exactly the guy that we thought they were hiring. Good recruiter, does some good things. He's at these schools that are able to create hype to Oregon first and now Miami. He's not the answer there. The guy that owns the gym I go to is a big Hurricane fan, and a Jets fan. He's from New York, and so it's going to be fun seeing him later today. Florida State, can they afford to fire Norvell? They're in a bad
spot. Down, right? Didn't they get him to take less?
Man, I don't know. I always hear that they're in bad financial straits. So you also have Florida hiring right now too. I have no clue who's going to be next. Obviously, there's blood in the water. There's going to be more.
Great for Texas, man.
I thought OU might crater. They're not going to crater that. A huge win against Tennessee. That was massive for them.
Yeah.
I keep wanting Lincoln Riley. I always want him to lose. I don't know if they can get rid of him. He seems to be doing just enough.
The SEC is becoming fun. It's not fun in the traditional mindset of you want your team to go, undefeated. But just for like pure watchability of this league, man, like it's getting much more NFL-like, where it's like the talent gaps are less and wins are not guaranteed. And I think it's been fun. It's frustrating if you're as an individual fan because you want your team to do well. But if you're just kind of stepping back and watching the league, it provides good entertainment value on the weekends. Do you think Kobe Black would suit better at safety?
I don't know. I probably need to see more reps from him another year. I don't think he lacks athleticism, and he hasn't gotten too big. So maybe there's some technique things he's still ironing out. There's still a lot of upside there. I hear good things about his overall baseline ability, and he hasn't gotten too big. So you keep trying him at corner, but the more we watch the secondary, the more obvious it is that, hey, they definitely need to hit the portal this offseason, probably at corner too, definitely at safety, and maybe a shakeup on the staff.
Ooh. Do y'all think Mateer finishes the year without missing more time due to injury? I have no idea. Unknowable.
Well, it is unknowable. He does play Alabama. They're usually pretty physical on quarterbacks. Yeah, you can these look at just yesterday in football. Quarterbacks are big quarterbacks are getting hurt. Jaden Daniels isn't big. I don't know why he was in there up 31 points or down 31 points. But CJ Stroud is a big dude. He got rocked. You just never know.
Yeah, I think Mateer's going to go out. He's their offense pretty much, man. So the way he runs the ball, who knows? I think who knows?
They're going to have an interesting offseason because if they bring in the right pieces, they're going to be pretty dangerous next. They'll be better next year than they were this year.
Eric, sounds like you're referring to our elderly defensive back coach coordinating with front. Still love him, but I do think our outstanding fundamentals have been suspect this year.
I think it was a 1-year stopgap hire. You know, when Terry Joseph left, it was like February at that point. He brought in somebody that Nansen had worked with. I think that probably had as much to do with it as, you know, his ties to the school before. I think it had more to do with Nansen, actually, that they'd worked together the years prior. I think they'll probably find some. There'll be interesting stuff when the time is right. But I don't think he'll be back. But maybe.
Living rent free in UT. I want to see more reps at corner for Littleton and Phillips over Gilbo.
Oh. He's probably blaming Gilbo on that long Stowers touchdown, which
that bust wasn't on Gilbo. That was on a safety miscommunication, either between Filsaime or Williams. But Gilbo, whenever he sat down in zone, was supposed to be covered too. And so, but there could have been other things you're looking at. But if that's a factor, erase that as one of your factors.
Yeah, that was tough. That was a perfect route, out and up, man. Versus cover two, like it was a good route combination by Vanderbilt on that one.
It was.
I think he's right as far as the future of corner. Littleton and Phillips looks quite enticing to me. Interesting, Littleton, normally you put the bigger guy in the boundary, but I think you might put Phillips at field, Littleton at boundary because he's a little firecracker like Jahdae Barron. And then you have to solve Star, but they really like Wardell Mack. And Xavier Filsaime was working there. Obviously, we didn't like the last tape we saw of Filsaime, but he is a talented guy. So I think next year you'll probably see Littleton and Phillips at corner. But Gilbo was not to blame for that bust the other day.
I'm very curious to see how we account for Oscar Delp, the Georgia tight end, next weekend. Tight ends are a big issue for us.
Well, tight ends are a big issue for Texas when Jelani McDonald gets hurt. So McDonald will be back, and he's going to draw that. It depends on how many tight ends they have on the field, but if they're in double tight end sets, Jelani's probably going to get Delp.
Well, and Stowers beat us in zone. He wasn't like manning us up.
No.
We were getting beat schematically. Like no one was around Stowers, So that's a call thing. Versus because like my whole argument is like you need to play man because Vanderbilt's only strength was Stowers, and you put a guy on him, even if he does catch it, you can tackle him right there. So that's once again, I wasn't in love with the play calls there. You can't let their one threat be wide ass open multiple times like that. So especially pre-snap, it's like they knew where they wanted to go. They're like the middle is presenting itself to you. So
did you guys notice on all 20 when I watched? Tyson Smith kind of came on the field late on those plays when they went kind of spread Stowers out. He came in late, and then he kind of worked to the wrong side of the zone, so he didn't work towards the field side. But I felt like he got rushed in late and got the play call and just played versus understanding and reading the offense, having time to digest what was really going on. But that's what it seemed like to me anyway. He got on the field kind of late, doing a late substitution.
Do you think Texas cracks the top 12 tomorrow night? Is lurking in the first four out?
Probably first four out, but it doesn't matter.
You just have to win out. If you don't win, it's not even going to be a conversation if you lose again. If
my
you
thing
win
is,
out, it's not going to be a conversation.
There might be, if they go 9-3, then it's a lot of external factors matter. I think ESPN has them as a 60% chance of getting in at 9-3, but if the offensive line we see the other day continues to play that way or approximates it, then okay, then maybe they deserve to get in at 9-3. But if the O-line reverts back to what we've seen and they're 9-3, who cares? They're not going to do anything in the playoffs anyways. So,
yeah,
they got to keep playing well and keep getting better from what we saw. There's a good PFF question up here from Joey Austin.
Any PFF grades on O-line with Cole Hudson at left guard and Connor Robertson at center, and how are the grades compared to before the lineup change?
Well, I mean, who cares about the grades? The offensive line obviously played a lot better. The O-line was balanced for the most part. I mean, we balanced compared to what we've seen the rest of the season. Arch Manning was hardly pressured. He was not sacked. They had one tackle for loss. Arch had one rush for 4 yards rather than having to run for his life all day. So, I mean, nobody needs PFF grades to know that the offensive line played a whole lot better. At the same time, somebody asked about passing grades down here. I think whatever Cole Hudson rated like a 47, and he gave up 1 pressure. All right, so automatically I'm going, you know what? If your pass pro grade is a 47, but you gave up 1 pressure, I'm going to guess that you actually played a little bit better than grading a 47.
Yeah, there's not an additive approach with PFF grades, right? There's not like a big moment effect. So you can, from down to down, you can look worse than you were. For instance, you can make like a really crucial block. That's just going to count as if it was any other block. So there's not, it can look a little different when you're just grading snap by snap, versus trying to evaluate a whole performance.
Colin Simmons gives up the edge on that long Pavia touchdown, and it doesn't hit him any harder than if Pavia would have gained 3 yards.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where they can get a little bit weak, but yeah, we're still not strong. Like our pass blocking, like we're still getting our run blocking, we're still getting completely stalemated. So that's going to be something for Georgia. I don't expect any running success in that game again.
No.
But the point is, this team's not a running team. That's not what we are. We need Arch to pass, and so if you can pass block or scheme to where they don't have to pass block that long, then that's the answer. There's no other. Sark will try to argue with himself. There's no other options. You have these options. You use these options.
It's not going to be a good O-line this year, but what we saw Saturday is, reason for hope.
You guys said another play on another team. Our boy Quentin has to make his statement. Delp is mid. Brennan Thompson is mid. Pavia is mid. Delp is mid. We appreciate you, Quentin. Thank you for the super chats. Guys, mention some other good players. We need more super chats from our man, Quentin. All right, let's see what else we got. I disagree. I think we have a chance at 9-3.
I mean, what did you just disagree with? I said they had 16.
He might be referencing someone in the chat.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think, look, my goal is to get to 8 with Arkansas. So that's good. And then look, when you have a team that has this much like potential energy, not always kinetic, but potential energy, they can rise up and punch anyone in the face. Inverse is they can fall off and have a weird game too. But there's no surprise if Texas upsets anyone left on the schedule. It's there. It's consistency of winning these next 3 is where
your goal is 8-4 at this point.
Huh?
Your goal is 8-4 at this point.
Yeah, it's been 8-4 for weeks.
God. You should hope that they split one of Georgia. They get A&M at home. A&M's going to be undefeated going into that game. And I know everybody thinks it's a rivalry game. They'll be up for it. They're not going to need it as bad as Texas, and they're not going to be at home. So,
but my analysis isn't like need-based analysis. It's just like they're undefeated because they're a good team, And so, unfortunately, it's 8. The ones and it'll be funny because Texas will be somehow like a point favorite at Vegas-wise in one of these. But my goal, looking back a couple of weeks, where you need to steal one of Vandy, Georgia, A&M, and you need to beat Arkansas.
I think the combined SEC records of the teams A&M is beaten is 6-20.
Yep.
So, but am I surprised if Texas beats a Georgia or A&M? No, because we have talent. I'm just not betting the farm on it. Or betting anything on it. People are upset about this. How is OU still ranked above Texas, guys?
I think it's kind of stupid too, and not just because of the head-to-head. That's pretty obvious, but they're dead in the water on as far as the SEC race, and Texas is right there with everybody else. There's 5 teams that are really still alive. OU's not one of them. So what's the point of ranking them ahead of Texas? Texas beat them, and they don't have as much upside as Texas at this point.
Where's their what are their wins? Number 14, Tennessee. Is Michigan
Auburn
and Michigan, but is Michigan ranked? I don't pay attention to Michigan.
No, I don't think Michigan's ranked. The only thing I see on Michigan right now is Underwood is underwhelming. That was a pretty good play on words there.
Texas has the OU win and it has the Vandy win.
Yeah. OU has Auburn, which is not a good win. Auburn with the help of the refs. Who else did they play? I mean, I watched them. We all watched them before they played Texas.
But it was Auburn and Michigan. Those were their big games.
Auburn and Michigan.
Yeah. And so that's where it's like comparing.
They lost to Ole Miss, right?
Yep.
They lost to Ole Miss, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to see.
Yeah, they don't have upside. So I don't know. Whatever, man. Who cares?
We'll see. Guys, before we keep going, though, we need to hear a word from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy and Sports and Outdoors proudly honors our brave military and first responders for everything you do to protect our nation and serve our local communities. We appreciate your unmatched dedication and countless sacrifices. And from October 19th through November 11th, Academy is giving you a salute with 10% off your sports and outdoors purchases at your local Academy store and online at academy.com/discount. Exclusions do apply.
Bring up this Bobby Petronic one on Gooseby Baker Robertson at 9:54.
9:54. All right. The 4th and 19. No, 2 centers. This one?
No, the one no, Gooseby, Baker, and Robertson.
Gotcha. Gooseby, Baker, and Robertson would be a good start with the offensive line, and then get some meat eaters to play offensive guard.
Yeah, we are this week is giving us a good chance to go over portal stuff. Portal is going to be, I'm covering a lot of this, but part of what I'm writing is, the personnel department must be focused on the portal like 100% right now. You still got your high school recruiting. High school recruiting is largely on the coaches at this point. They need to be advanced scouting all these rosters. There's so much turnover. They better be looking and being prepared for everybody. If that name goes in the portal, obviously Dallas Austin is easy if that guy bails, but looking at offensive line, and then it helps that they've played some of these teams, so they know when such and such goes in from Florida, they need to be ready to jump. Offensive line is going to set the entire floor for the season next year, and they better be aggressive as hell. Baker, Gooseby, love to see Baker playing well. If you can get those two back and you don't have to go big at offensive tackle, that gives you a lot of money to the upside at interior. Guards are not as expensive, so a little bit of money can go a long way with guard. They do need to bring in another center. There's going to be turnover from that room that nobody's talking about at this point, that they're going to have to make sure that they have depth too. And then they need to make sure that they have a swing tackle. Now, to me, I probably move Brooks to tackle the day this season is over. And hopefully he can be your depth there. But they've got to take at least 3 guys that have starter upside. They need to be in real competition. So even if they lose, they provide real depth. So I can't wait to see what happens in the portal. I wrote an article this morning setting the foundation for what we're going to talk about the rest of this week, using Sark's own words about how he views it, his philosophy. He's going to have to bend his philosophy a little bit more than normal probably if he wants to win a national championship next year.
And you're going to need to overbuy. If you need 3 guards, buy 4, because there's one that might not pan out. It might not
buy you one that can play center. You're going to have to do like you're going to have to treat it like when you're looking at NFL value. Okay, this guy's not a guard, but he can play center. It has to add value there. They are going to need to take some guys that people aren't to guard against losses that people don't know are likely to happen at this point.
What do you think about Gooseby's return? Not 100% positive Gooseby is back next year, although a strong offensive tackle class helps.
I wouldn't, never say 100%. I think it's way more likely that he's back next year than not at this point. They're taking a longer view of that. Obviously, if he went, he would get drafted, maybe even 2nd or 3rd round. Who knows? He doesn't have first round tape this year, but he's got all sorts of first round upside, as we know. They're taking a longer view of that. At this point, it's more likely that he's back, but there's still work to do. And then retention is not easy, right? Retention is very hard. So there's some kinks to work out, but right now I would feel pretty strongly about Gooseby being left tackle next year.
Retention's hard with a strong season.
Yeah,
it's even more difficult.
Hey, retention after a bad season though, it can be easy in a good way. You don't want to keep everybody after a bad season.
Yeah.
There's some guys that need to be renegotiated, and
that part.
It's kind of like what we're talking about with Dabo.
Yeah. So if they don't want to renegotiate, then all right. Well, SMU's down the road, buddy. But yeah, that'll be a big factor. I know as soon as Auburn announced everyone wants Cam Coleman, guys. Eric, do we get Cam Coleman? And did you hear? Dallas Wilson got hurt.
Yeah, everybody wants to spend
Dallas
the whole
Wilson
allocation on a stud wide receiver. Charlie, would that make any sense?
Nah, I think you posted right after. Yeah, we can get like 3 offensive linemen for the price of Cam Coleman. Like, you know what? He's right. I don't think Cam Coleman's flashy, but it's like, oh man, what's our need, right? We got every receiver returning next year. Do we really need to go spend a lot of money on Cam Coleman? So
you love Coleman because he could literally, he can make the game-winning play in the national championship. But man, look at what Emmett Mosley's doing. Some 8 out of 10 Cam Coleman stuff. Doesn't move like he's not Coleman, but I mean, he can make that contested catch. Another year in strength and conditioning for Parker Livingston. He's going to make those contested catches. And I'm kind of hyped up that there's really no buzz around DeAndre Moore going pro, getting him back. Dalen McCutcheon looks electric every single time he touches the ball. Charlie, I didn't know he was that light on his feet. I knew he was good. I knew he ran well. He is light on his feet like a cornerback after he catches the ball. I love that kid.
Yeah, look, McCutcheon, he just needed opportunity, but man, that's been there all along. I think the more reps he gets, more comfortable he gets. He won't look like a statue or a robot out there. He let the game kind of come to him, and now he's kind of showing his ability. So I think the more opportunities he gets, man, I'm glad he's okay, because he took a shot in the arm, but I was glad to see him come back, man.
And next year, you're going to have Khalil Lockett is going to play a lot next year. Still, right? If Ryan Wingo doesn't round out his game, all of a sudden, you're going to have some open snaps that you might not have expected when you looked at this roster, 6 months ago. You're going to look at that boundary receiver as Emmett Mosley. Khalil Lockett's going to have a line on it, so they're going to be. They shouldn't go portal unless something falls in their lap. If you can get a bargain basement guy that's electric that hasn't broken out yet, but looks like he will, then you probably have to take it. But right now, there's much bigger need
elsewhere. I need like a D7 Midwestern tight end. Like I need a blocker.
Yeah,
that can barely speak, like a caveman. That's something that I need because I cannot stand our tight end recruiting. It is absolute nonsense. These are big wide receivers. What's the point?
Come on, man.
Can block.
Nick Townsend's going to be a stud.
He ain't ready yet, though. And so it's like I need somebody today. I needed somebody 3 years ago today that can actually block.
Yeah. What I want, I don't know if anybody saw that Ty Okada interception last night for the Seahawks. That guy walked on at Montana State. He didn't even walk on at a good school, and he's in the NFL making ridiculous interceptions. Go find that guy at Montana State or wherever, because they're going to need to upgrade in the IQ department of the secondary next year after losing Taft and likely McDonald. That's a lot of experience and two smart football players.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Quentin, we appreciate you, man. It'll definitely go towards the fun. I think we're about 1 millionth towards his price tag with that, but keep him coming, dude. We might get there by end of season. All right. But yeah, I'm same thing. Get a bunch of guards, centers, overbuy, or have positional flexibility. Get a tight end that blocks and is known for blocking. Take a wide receiver if it makes sense, but don't just go out and try to buy a flashy name that might need to be
couple running backs.
I was going to say number one running back is one of the top things. It's like literally offensive line, number one running back.
Yeah. And you know what? Match all these guys to the scheme you want to run, man. Don't get a good guard. He grades high in the run game, and then you go run a run game that he's never run before. You're not taking advantage of his ability.
That's what I'm worried about, because it's also the scheme pairing too. It's like, because Sark's basically like, you need to run every running scheme in existence. It's like no player is good at every running scheme.
Like we were talking about in the group chat yesterday. Everybody's like, hey, let's get Jaden Baugh. Well, all right, your two highest paid players at that position will be Jaden Baugh and Derek Cooper. And they couldn't be any more different as far as running backs. Literally, they cannot be different. So I don't know, man. Yeah, they got to have a good idea what schemes they want to run and then go match the guys they want that have success and proficiency in those schemes.
Yeah.
Hey, Homer, going back to like PFF, it tells you exactly what players are really good at, how they grade it. Like you can go find your running back who's good versus like running outside zone, inside zone. Go look at those guys and scout them. If that's what you want to be, go find those guys. Don't go get a guy that's played an offense that ran power the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're spot on, Eric, with that. Go find a guy that fits your scheme that you want to run, and then find a scheme you actually want to run too.
That's the problem is we don't have a scheme we want to run. We want to run all of offense, and so it's like the problem. That's the issue. Is like we don't have a scheme we run, and so that's where it's tricky. Is that you're just asking guys to be good at every running scheme. Like some of this is the coaching has to change what they think about some of these things, or else you're in a similar spot. 2 running backs, 4 guards, a couple of safeties. Portal going to go crazy.
Oh man, this is where I love it when the fans start talking, because there's no end to money. There's no limitations to money. There's no limitations to roster spots. The transfer portal thread on IT, it's wild. The first guy that has a pulse that goes in, like, should we get him? Should we get him? They want to take him. And I'm like, dude, just wait. There's going to be a lot better options than that.
I am worried, though, because if I'm an agent dealing anything to Texas this year, the price went up 25% just off the bat. If it's offensive line, it went up 50%.
Texas has a really good reputation for sticking to its guns if they put a price on you, and that goes for guys whether it's retention or they're trying to get imports or exports. they're pretty good at sticking to their dollar amount because they believe their dollar amount is fair. They've got a lot of good feelers out there to what the market rate is. So we'll see. I'm excited to cover it. I can't wait. And that the portal is different this year because it's not infringing on December. So, high school recruiting is going. You've got bowls and all that, and then January is going to go haywire with portal. Absolutely bonkers.
If I'm an agent, I'd only represent specific players. Like I would only represent offensive guards, and I would fix the market like all these other agents do with every other thing. And I'd be like, good luck. If you'd like to go to the next guard, guess what? He actually costs more because Texas doesn't have the leverage in some of these some of these negotiations. Some of these players they have to get. So they can stick to their price and then not get the player, and then next season everything burns down. So that'll be a little bit tricky. Florida and Auburn rosters are a great place to start. You got LSU, Florida, Auburn.
Yeah, there's players all over, man.
Whatever the coaches that leave to take those jobs, those rosters now. So you have a really cool cascading effect of like you could have 8 or 9 legit teams. And ideally, the coaches that are going to get hired to these next jobs are going to be good coaches. That's why they're getting hired. So you're going to have good rosters that are also being left. As long as it's not like crazy G5 stuff. So it is really beneficial this year for all this crazy stuff to be going on. All right, guys. Before we keep going, let's hear a word from Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results. Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Our main man, Andre. What do y'all need to see?
This Antoine one at 10:04 is crazy to me.
10:04.
Let's hope Demo gets to 500, 600 yards and leaves. Still need to find reps for French, Lockett, and Bishop. Oh, man. Did y'all see that? Did you see him pick up like 10 or 12 extra yards after the catch in the phone booth, getting upfield?
He makes important plays. He shows up like at crucial spots.
He's starting to show. He's starting to make some Matthew Golden hands catches that we didn't see last year.
Yeah.
Anybody wanting him to leave, I think, is crazy. 10:04. Do you have a clock on yours? It says 10:04. Antoine, let's hope Demo gets 500, 600 yards.
Well, the point is you had already read it and answered it, so it's I can bring it up.
Man. Well, now they can see it.
But yeah, that. I'm not crazy about needing a wide receiver in this, as long as everything can stay well. Now, if you get like a Emmett Mosley where you're like, that's good value and looks like a solid player.
Sure. French, we haven't heard a ton about French. He just started traveling in the last game.
Yeah.
Lockett is going to be good. We've heard a lot of things about him. We know Dalen McCutcheon's going to be good. Jermaine Bishop, I think we all know is going to be good, but we don't typically see true freshman impact receivers unless he comes in and starts acting like Xavier Worthy. I'm not sure. Maybe they can get him on punt return. Ryan Niblett, they're going to have to work to keep Niblett. So
wide receiver. Well, wide receiver to me, man, that's a portal position. Unless there's some player that's an athlete like Bishop that you're like, I want him on my team no matter what. High school recruiting at receiver, I don't really care about. Like,
the crazy thing to me is I don't think you want Demo to leave. He's going to hit another level, maybe 2 more levels from what he is right now, and he's actually playing really good right now.
Eric, do you see a lot of attrition for Texas after this season? You kind of hit on it, but even
there's we heard 3 names this past week that are running the rumor mill that would be 3 guys that we expect Texas to want to keep. So maybe that'll change. Not anything that's going to kneecap them, but you just have to replace them, so that it'll give you more room. But attrition can be a healthy thing. All the attrition we've seen at Texas so far has been healthy for the program. I still don't think they've lost anybody they've truly wanted to keep. But they're going to have to make rooms because they have to go so big next year. So they're going to need some room. So there's probably going to be some guys that end up being good players I mean, Logan Parr ended up becoming a good player, right? But that wasn't anybody that Texas really tried to keep. Maybe some guys that are kind of that level.
Paul says that's always a sign of a good team too, is that when you lose some players and they go on to have success.
Yeah, Paul likes to use the term vitality curve and Pareto principle and all that stuff. It's Paul words, Paul terms.
Paul words.
Definitely Paul words.
Related to the history of.
Yeah, you knew Saban was really good when he was like trying to medical retire guys that would go transfer elsewhere and still get drafted.
Yeah. The games that go on there. All right, let's see what we got. Joey, I've been stating Cole Hudson should be starting at left guard since Ohio State game. A lot of people wanted this combination.
This one made a lot of sense in the offseason. I kind of ranted about it yesterday, but Cole Hudson was good enough to start ahead of DJ Campbell as a true freshman. He was good enough to rotate with Campbell the last 2 years. Connor Robertson, we've heard there's not much difference between Connor Robertson and Cole Hudson. Meanwhile, you have the worst left guard play in any P4 conference. I mean, maybe there's somebody worse. I don't know. It would be hard to fathom that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This probably should have been the line they came into the season with. It made the most sense, especially when one of the concerns they had this season was cohesion. So you would have your three guys who all came in 2022 together. They should have no issues with cohesion, right? And then Trevor Goosby's pretty advanced, so he should have no issues with cohesion. So then you're just worried about Brandon Baker. They came in, I think they really messed it up, and I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh because there could be something unforeseen. I just don't. I always try to account for what I don't know, but man, it seems like this one's a real mystery. And that's my joke was I'm just going to assume Neto Umeozulu is Larry Allen at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone brought up Nato. Makes you wonder if Nato is another flood missed eval since he wasn't going to give Robertson a chance unless forced. It's weird.
Robertson isn't great. He's just maybe as good as Hudson, and you upgrade left guard. It's just you're trying to get the best five on the field, and they went with a guy that we hadn't heard a single thing about the entire offseason. And then a true freshman.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's talk some positives though. Yeah, defensive line.
Should have been doing more of that.
Besides perimeter run, defensive line has been absolutely awesome. I think they're going to be clutch for us going forward. I want to talk about what we need to do these next couple of games to really maximize. Keep the offensive line that we had. Quick game with Arch. Become a passing team, more focused. Don't bang your head against the wall. Do what we did in the run where it's like, look, if you can get an effective 75 yards, I wouldn't bet the house on going into a game, Sark even said, like, I thought this was going to be a 12 personnel game. It's like, we got to stop with that.
Yeah.
That's the big key. And then defensive line in tandem with the pass rush as well, I think is because you can't trust the secondary. What do we really need to see over these next 3 weeks to have a chance at the playoffs?
I'm gonna say communication front to back. It has to work together. That's the only thing coming into on the defense. Defense, you got to be the loudest group on the field. You have to talk. You have to communicate. Without it, you don't have a shot, right? Because at some point, defensive ends, the defense line, you're gonna get tired. They're bigger guys getting after the quarterback every single play. They're hitting somebody every single play up front. So they're gonna get tired. So the back end has to help out. The linebackers got to help out the secondary, and secondary has to line everybody else up and get everybody to communicate and get on the same page. That's what I want to see. I felt like it was a big thing. I want to say maybe 2023. I had my dates. I had my years wrong where they just didn't feel like they communicated. Then all of a sudden they came on strong with communicating last year. We need more of that. It has to be on point because without it, you're in trouble.
What do you want to see, Eric?
They just have to keep this week. Next week they got to match the physicality, show up with the energy that Georgia showed up with in DKR last year. Show up with a good game plan. I'm not super worried about the defense once they get their safeties back. Obviously, I'd be terrified if they were still out. The first thing we reported on Saturday was, don't worry, Jelani McDonald will be back. Just confidence in the back end. I don't know what to expect. I don't know where to blame the inexperience or the coaching that we saw the last couple of weeks. It's concerning, but obviously it's going to get better with Taft back and McDonald healthy. So yeah, I'm really not too worried about Georgia putting up a ton of points. I'm much more concerned about Texas being able to score on Georgia.
Yeah. Attacking our
You put yourself on mute, you goofball.
attacking our protections and all of that is where I'm a little bit nervous. We don't have the athlete edge there. Kirby's going to tell them some magic stuff about how they've been slept on in Texas. See, they think Texas has a shot now. They're whatever. All of that's going to be a lot trickier. We've seen what they're able to do.
Tennessee's not going to be dropping dimes on Texas like they did, or Georgia's not going to be dropping dimes on Texas like they did against Tennessee with Taft and McDonald back. I don't think. I'm not.
The quarterback run is where it's going to be interesting, like in the red zone with Stockton and all of that.
Well, that's where like the good part about that second half last year is she's not going to catch him slipping, right? They're going to be all up. They should be well drilled on his ability to use his legs because they saw it up close and personal. The whole reason they lost the SEC championship game, well, outside of a couple unforced errors, was his legs.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating game of the Sark era by a mile. Whenever I rewatch it, that game drives me nuts. The amount of penalties we had, we should have won that game. Ugh. Sark is the most sophisticated misinformation campaign ever. He's going to run the veer against Georgia. I mean, there's a huge chance that he does try to go heavy in this game, and that's what I'm worried about.
No, he better not.
Got some questions here. You got one from James Cole Fowler, 1016.
Let's see. James Cole Fowler posted a comment at 1016, didn't he? All righty. Thoughts on how high Burke gets drafted?
What do you think, Charlie?
I don't know. I see him as a maybe third or fourth round guy because he's fundamental. I don't know how well he's going to test. I don't know how well somebody's going to look at him when he gets on the podium and they looking at his body. It's like, oh, like he got a beer belly or whatever the case. But he can play football, right? But fundamentally, man, he's sound. Like he's Mr. Fundamentals. I think he's going third or fourth round. He's a value pick on somebody's team for defense line because he does everything right, man. He hustles. He plays hard. You won't ever catch him not containing like other people. Like, I mean, he just does his job. I think that you can account for that at any point and need that kind of guy on defense. So I say third or fourth round, depending on how he tests.
Yeah, and that's what our boy Bobby Petronic said in the comments too. I think he can sneak into the second round. They love length. They love motor. He's going to have a better L cone. They love L cone for defensive line drills. He's going to have a better L cone than people realize from his days of playing lacrosse. He moves pretty well. I'm going to be curious what he weighs because they're going to see that dad bod and wonder, do we put weight on him? Do we take weight off? What's his position? Like they might have a little bit of trouble projecting him long term. But I think he can sneak into the second round. He's more athletic than he looks, and he plays with really great leverage and length. I think the NFL would consider Charles Omenihu a miss, and Charles Omenihu had great length and played with great leverage too, and also played hard. They play a little bit differently, but there's also some similarities. I could see Burke becoming a second round draft pick, especially if he keeps making plays like he has. Like he's popping on tape. He's not just doing the right thing. Like you're seeing him. He got that sack the other day. Playing as a one technique, split a double team. The other one was a motor sack that Simmons helped create. He does everything right, and then I think he's going to test better in some ways than people are expecting.
Well, in that height, you can't recreate.
Yeah, length.
Yeah, so he has that given. Because remember, the whole talk with him was was it Hutchinson, the Michigan?
Yeah, he's just not going to be swole like Hutchinson or like a Bosa. He's not going to be as chemically enhanced as a Bosa.
Quinn says Georgia has given up 21, 21, 35, and 40. Cool. Hope they do the same.
Yeah, they can. Texas can score on them, and Georgia, I think, is going to move the ball, but not. I don't think it's going to be a really high scoring game, but there's going to be some offense.
Sugarcane Daddy's always obsessed with how I say interesting. I say interesting like that. Interesting.
Say February.
February.
That's good. I ignore that R too.
I think it's the R. February. That sounds weird.
It does.
Yeah, that's weird if someone says it like that. Where do y'all think Taft will go in the draft?
Ooh. Somebody's going to take him. If the Eagles need a safety, they're definitely going to draft him. I don't know. I want to see how well Taft. I want to see how he tests. I want to see what he runs in the 40. But what you cannot measure, man, is what he has up here, man. His tape shows up. I think.
He'll win the interview.
how big he is. You look at tape, he's like, he's a player. I don't know, man. Tapp can go second, third round. If he runs anywhere in 4 or 5, man, I don't know. I think he's gonna shoot up the draft boards because he can do.
I think he's gonna,
of course he's running 4.5, dude. He's not running 4.6.
Hey, look, I don't
He's
know.
not that slow, dude.
if you look at him, how fast he goes point A to point B on the football field, oh man, I think his shuttle is going to surprise people. My concern on him is his build. He's still, man, in the way he plays, matching that build to physicality. You watch these running backs hit the alley, like, what was it, Charbonnet last night? Who wants a piece of that dude coming downhill? And Taff is going to go straight into him. He's fearless. But I do worry about him holding up at 190, 195 pounds. I really wish he would be about 205.
Yeah.
He's going to play in the NFL for a very long time. I think he's going to start in the NFL for a long time. Third round, maybe. I could see second round, maybe. It's just, the testing is going to matter. If he tests well, the 40, then they're going to start talking about his play speed. If he doesn't run a great 40, then they're not going to notice his play speed as much.
Alvin runs a 4.6. Taff is definitely fast. I did run in the 4.6s in high school, so he's definitely faster than me. But yeah, I did. And that was probably with the help of the coach giving me a little something.
Everybody ran 38s in high school.
Yeah, because there were no lasers for us. But then I went to Denton Ryan, so there were real athletes there. So there are times we're all done at the camps and like official. Ours was just like some junior coach tired doing that. Someone asked too about who else was going to get drafted way earlier, but I can't remember. It might have been Manny. I think maybe that. What do y'all think? What do y'all think of Manny as a draft? What do you think of Gilbo as a draft?
Oh,
I think Gilbo's going to go back to nickel and probably be undrafted free agent. He's gonna run well. He's going to run better than people realize. He just doesn't have the ball production. He hasn't been a playmaker necessarily. At times he's been a good tackler, and he's got the physicality mindset for it. And I think he can make a mark on special teams in the NFL. Manny, I think, is going to end up going second round. That was my prediction when he was signed out of high school, because I never thought he'd have that electric athleticism that they like in corners in the first round. But he has pretty much everything else. He's had a good year. He had that the OU game where he got gifted a couple picks. We haven't seen a ton of ball production outside of that, but he's solid, and he's easy to project to the NFL because he's smart, plays with good technique, and he's physical.
Who's our first rounders? Hill.
Right now I would say Hill. Right? No wide receivers, no tight ends, obviously. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, definitely Hill. That's it.
I mean, it's interesting, right? The year that we have some struggles, it's correlated with not having a lot of draft guys as well, right? So I think there's a correlation. I don't think we're going to break that 13 record this year in the draft. I think if Taff ran a legit 4.55 with his cerebral understanding of defense, he could be the top 3 round draft pick.
That sounds about right. Let's get Antoine again at 10:18. He says Jonas Sharma, Lockett, and Deuce Cunningham are currently at 4 games. Let's see if they appear again. Yeah, Cunningham. I mean, they like Cunningham. He's like a backup on special teams to everybody. He's been dinged up. They really like that kid though. Jonah and Sharma. Jonah's going to play. They're not. There's no intentions of redshirting Jonah. Sharma, I don't think they're going to redshirt. They just need to get in some blowouts. Arkansas. Ooh, man, that's close. Would you burn a Sharma redshirt for Arkansas? I wouldn't.
No,
not worth it. And then you don't want to burn Cunningham for that either. Guys like Jonah and Lockett, I don't think there's any way that they play for 5 years. So,
right, yeah, for sure. We had this one's interesting. What about DJ Campbell?
Oh man, that's tough. He had a way better senior year. Right? I think he's come on as of late, like the last couple of games, he's played well. I don't know. DJ probably can go. Well, how big is DJ? Is he a legit 6'2"?
He's 6'2.5". He's got my recollection of him as a recruit was he had 33-inch arms, which is acceptable for even a tackle.
People were pushing for him at tackle because of Darnley.
Yeah, so I think third round is good. He's got an NFL temperament too now, and physicality. I think third round sounds about right.
Yeah, his mindset's good. I told you guys I was at the Verizon store getting a phone, and one of his classmates was the one selling me the phone, and I was like, "So what's he like out of school?" I'm always trying to figure out. And he's like, "No, he was always really focused, like good kid. I'm always trying to figure out. Sometimes you get it from Verizon employees. That's my number one source, by the way, is Verizon employees.
There you go. Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Will it be a combination of portal and development going forward for the offensive line? I think
it has to be, but this year they've got to make up for lost time like they did on defensive tackle, right? They've got to bridge the gap like they did with portal recruiting and then high school recruiting. The D tackle is the obvious template. The problem is, offensive line, you play 5 of them. D tackle, you play 2, sometimes 3 of them. So they've got to really strike gold here, and they've got to, they got to hold on to guys like Max Wright. Max Wright visited SMU. These are the guys that you develop. They don't cost you $1 zillion to develop. Like some of these guys, you just have to take a loss. Like Brandon Baker was not cheap. We're just now getting value, like real value out of him, and he's 1.5 years in. So that's the big issue with taking a guy like Felix Ojo for Texas Tech. He's very expensive. When you start getting a return on it, and then once you start getting a return on it, the NFL goes, man, that guy looks really good. He should go early.
They take him. So
Max Wright is a stud that they really need to hold on to. Last year they lost John Mills. I really coveted John Mills for the same reasons. I like Max Wright. Get him in the program, start developing them, and over time you won't have to take an expensive offensive tackle because these guys are ready. But you don't want to play them a year before they're ready. That's the problem. Christian Jones turned out to be a really good player. They had to play him a year before he's ready out of necessity. So it has to be a balance. But when you really need offensive line, you can't shortchange yourself because the position is far too important. That's what they did this past year. They shortchanged themselves. Now they're reaching. They can't, you've got Turntine, who I love, but man, how long until that guy's ready? He doesn't weigh a lot. He's got everything else. He's got the temperament. He's got the physical, he plays, he doesn't have the physicality because he doesn't have the size and strength, but he has the physical temperament. He's got the mindset, but man, how long is it until he's ready to play? That's a big issue. So you should always be thinking about offensive tackle, right? Nick Brooks, you should be confident that Nick Brooks is your guy to replace Trevor Gooseby in 2 years. If you're not, then you already need to be looking at who your replacement is for Trevor Gooseby in 2 years.
Fowler asked about DeAndre. We said we don't think he's going to come out, and there's not enough tape this year. You can go out as a later round, but I don't know how to evaluate him yet because it's hard to evaluate someone who didn't get the ball a bunch. He showed up in clutch spots, but as far as, being a number 1 receiver and that kind of stuff, we haven't seen that level of tape out of DeAndre.
He's shown a really diversified skill set. The one thing that we haven't seen out of him, like we saw last year, was them throwing to him deep, but that's, they don't have time to throw it deep. So I love that kid. He's going to be good. I hope he sticks around. It's a big win if he sticks around.
Do we actually trust the staff to do the developing, though? There might be changes on the staff that you focused on. You're focused on hiring someone who's known for development. So that could be a big change. But no, we haven't had great high school to pro development at some spots.
Oh, man. I think it's not just on the staff but development, though. Players got to buy in, too. You got to go get extra work outside of coaches, too, to get developed. It's not just on the staff alone. They got enough to teach you in the scheme and everything else. You got to go out and get the extra help yourself to get developed as well. So it got to be the players got to take some ownership on that.
You see all the pros. The pros are doing outside training almost more than they're at practice. They're always at these fancy facilities. Look what the pros are doing to get better. They're telling you it's not enough to just be at practice, right? You have to do a ton of extra stuff. Especially when you're young, that's when you can develop a lot faster too. So make sure you squeeze all the juice out of that. Jelani will be the highest drafted Longhorn this year. He's got incredible athleticism. I just think Anthony Hill is going to be the guy.
I hope the NFL misses on him like they did for Barron. The NFL just totally missed on Jahdae Barron. Totally missed, and that's why he came back and became what he became. But it was so obvious that Barron was a stud in 2022. He had 11 tackles for loss. I was saying, all right, enjoy him for one more year, guys. He's going to go out and be drafted. I was comparing him to Brian Branch from Alabama. The NFL just missed on him. Hopefully the NFL misses on McDonald. I just don't think they will.
He showed how smart he was at nickel. He was blowing up screens, not because of the athleticism, which he had, but because he knew what the play was.
Yep.
And I agree.
But then I had the understanding that they moved him there because he was a corner, not because he wasn't a corner. They didn't consider him a tweener. McDonald, he's got tape at nickel. He's got tape at both safety spots. He's tall. He's physical. He's fast. What else do you want? That dude is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud in the NFL. I would take him in the late first.
All right, fellas. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here? Hook 'em horns.
No.
It's bye week.
I'm going to enjoy the bye week. I cannot wait to not watch Texas football this weekend. I'm going to watch as much football as possible, stress free.
Yep.
That's for the underdogs.
All right, guys. Go to Inside Texas. You can join for $1. Team news, analysis, recruiting, all of that stuff. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have a great Monday, everyone. Goodbye.